Hello everyone and welcome to today's session. So today we are going to cover a very important topic, very important chapter, that is chapter number 12, which is about the digital auditing and assurance. It is kind of a future for the auditing. We are going to discuss about the future technologies of the auditing. We are going to discuss about how auditing is going to evolve in the coming days. A very interesting topic, a very useful topic for you guys, because the moment you will start going through the audits day by day, you will see these technologies being implemented. You will identify, okay, these technologies that we are discussing in the lecture are, and some of you already might be going through the technology. They might be using already these technologies in the audit. So basically, what we are going to do is we are going to discuss two things. One, about the digital audit and auditing digitally. Number two, how you can answer the questions on this particular topic in exam. I will try to basically, make this chapter as easy as possible for you guys and give you some tips to remember things on this particular chapter so that you guys can easily remember this chapter. Now, as per the weightage of the exam, this is a section 2. This particular chapter is a alone section in the weightage category. Means when I say alone weightage or alone section, that means there is going to be a question from this particular chapter. That is for sure, because it has been given a weightage of 3 to 6%. Okay, 3 to 6% section 2, which covers 3 to 6%. And okay, if I say minimum one question, it can be MCQ, it can be descriptive, 4 marks, 2 marks, whatever it is. But you are going to get one question from this particular chapter, and it is a low-hanging chapter, low-hanging fruit. That means you can easily get understanding of this chapter and score that mark. Okay, that's why I say very important. If you just pay attention for today, if you do as I say, you will definitely be able to answer the questions from this particular chapter. Clear? Before I proceed, any doubts? Any doubts before I proceed and start the discussion on this particular chapter? Okay. If no doubts, then let's start the discussion. Our target for the today, okay, is to understand this chapter and to understand how to write the answers. Okay. And we will go conceptually, we will go logically. So when I first say the term digital auditing, what do you mean by that? Can anyone tell me what do you understand with the term digital auditing? Anyone? What do you mean by the term digital auditing? No? Okay. What do you mean by digital audit? Anyone? When I say digital audit, what do you mean by that? Like what digital audit means? Can anyone tell me?
Assurance on IT.
Yes. Yes, very good. Anyone else? No? Okay. Not an issue. I'll tell you. There are two important things that we will understand. First, we will understand a term called digital audit. When I talk about digital audit, it is auditing, the systems. Simple. You audit the system. When I talk about internal audit, what you are doing? What is internal audit? Anyone? What is internal audit? Simple question, straightforward, no complexity. Okay, what is income tax audit? No? Straightforward. What is income tax audit, guys? We are at the basic of the audit. We are discussing basic audit. What is tax audit?
Sir, taxing compliance we have to see.
Yes, very good. In an audit where we are checking the tax compliances. When I talk about GST audit where you are checking the GST compliances, GST requirements. When I talk about internal audit means audit done by the internal team. So when I talk about digital audit, auditing the digital systems, the digital audit, auditing the systems which are digital. Simple, digital systems. Nothing complex in that. Digital audit means auditing the systems which are digital. Here, your job is to check the client's technology. And when I talk about digital, it's about the auditing the technology. Remember that, technology. Okay. Their apps, their networks, their systems, whether secure, reliable or not. Okay. So you are kind of a technology auditor over here. So when I say digital auditing, you play as a role of technology auditor. Great. Okay. Now, the second concept that I will discuss will be auditing digitally. Now, what is this? Can anyone tell me? What do you mean by like when I say auditing digitally? When I say that, what do you mean? Like, if anyone can explain. What is digitally? No?
Auditing using technology?
Absolutely correct. Very good. So, as I said, digital means technology. When I say auditing digitally, means you are doing audit digitally. That means using technology. Doing audit using technology. Okay. Now, for this particular chapter, as of now, when I talk about digital, you can refer as a technology for a simple understanding. Okay. So whenever I talk about the term digitally, you can, refer it as similar to something what technology we are dealing. So when I talk about auditing digitally, I'm talking about doing audit using technology. Okay. Using the tools. When I talk about technology and the tools. So first, we will understand how to do digital audit. Second part of the chapter, we will understand how to use the tools. These are the two things we are going to do today. Number one, how to audit the digital systems. Number one. Number two, how to use the tools, which are the tools available and what are the benefits of the tools. That is there in the chapter, digital auditing and assurance. Simple? Any doubt?
No, sir.
Great. No doubt. Okay. Now, if you understood this concept, trust me, if you understood this concept, a question that I'm going to take now, you will be able to answer. And I don't want a bookish answer. I don't want anything, okay, you just read out from the study material. No. I want an answer that you understand. I want an answer that you think might be relevant. Or you think, okay, this is the actually, the benefit of that. So let me bring the question in front of you guys. Okay, now the question is very straightforward, simple. Let me read it. So, I think it is volume is turned off. Let me turn on volume.
ABC and Co.
Okay. So now I think it will work.
ABC and Co., a chartered accountancy firm, has traditionally conducted its audits using manual methods and extensive sampling. The firm's partners are considering a significant investment in new audit software and automation tools to shift towards a digital audit approach. Before approving the budget, the managing partner wants to understand the concrete benefits of this transition.
So as an audit manager, you are required to prepare a note explaining the key advantages of digital audit. Okay. So over here, what you need to do is key advantages of digital audit, not auditing digitally. I'm first of all focusing on the digital audit. What do you think is the advantage of digital audit? Anyone?
Sir, time will be saved.
Okay, time saving. What else? We are talking about digital audit. What benefit we can get by auditing these systems? The question is, what benefits we can get by auditing the systems? Simple. Anyone? What benefits can I get from it? Think, okay, why we do digital audit? Why we have to do digital audit? Why we have to do digital audit?
We can do it efficiently, sir, effectively and
Efficiently and effectively, okay. But what is the need? Why can't I just skip it? Saving time and effort, more reliable, yeah. Okay, very good. But my question is, why cannot I skip this particular part? Like, why I have to do digital audit? Why you have to do income tax audit? If I okay, let's discuss why you have to do income tax audit. Anyone? Why you are required to do? Yeah.
because they have not misappropriated income or
Because the Act says so. If you cross the turnover, you have to get the income tax audit. 44 AB. Yes? Yes or no?
yes, sir.
Simple. So everything is required and done for a particular purpose. Similar way, when I talk about digital audit, why do you think digital audit will be required? Apart from law or regulation, let's keep aside the law and regulation, because I'll come on to that point also, where law or regulations become very critical, like for these kind of things. But for time being, let's understand, why do you think this audit is required apart from law or regulation? Anyone?
So here the human involvement is reduced.
Statutory compliance.
Yeah. Because the transparency also increase.
Okay, transparency increase, human compliance. Okay.
And
See,
efficiency, of course, efficiency is improved as well as in terms of time saving, as Geeta is mentioned appropriately.
okay. So let's say, for example, simple example, if I do not perform this particular digital audit, do you think there will be any issue in my normal audit? Do you think there will be any issue in my normal audit if I do not perform a digital audit?
There will be conflict in time. The auditor will appoint surrogates.
Your
That
voice was
management will
breaking. Sorry.
not suitable for the time.
Sorry, your voice was breaking. Very good, Manish. So very good, Hetal. So Manish, as you're saying, less assurance. Hetal, as you are saying, chances of fraud in the system. See, when I do a digital audit, I am auditing the systems to get a reliance on the systems. When I do an audit of a financial statement, I do the audit to identify issues in the financial statement. Similarly, when I do a digital audit, I am doing the audit to identify issues in the system. Now, what benefit can I get from identifying the issues in this particular system? Okay. Now, when I talk about issues in the system, these issues will also impact operations of the company. Basically, if I talk about issues in the systems, so that will impact operations, that will impact company, that will impact reputation, and because of all these things, a direct impact will be on your financial statements. Okay. So a direct impact will be there on the financial statements. Are you getting the point? As a result, I have to perform this audit. I have to perform this audit so that I need to identify the issues. I need to identify the issues related to operations, company, reputation, financial statements. I need to make sure that whatever audit I am doing is of the good quality, is of the nature which actually helps me in the, see, at the end, this particular system audit will help me in my financial audit also. Why? Because this will provide me a comfort on the financial part also. If I am comfortable with the systems, and one of the part, SA 315, understand the entity and its environment, including the IT environment. Yes or no? Now, over there, if you have a comfort on the IT environment, obviously it is going to help you in your statutory audits, normal financial audits. So it will help me, it will increase my effectiveness, efficiency. It will provide me better quality audit. When I talk about financial audit, it will be a better quality now because systems I have checked, there is something called ITGC. If I'm not sure you guys have read it, but you should have read it till now because we have discussed the SA 315. Can anyone tell me what is ITGC? What is ITGC?
IT general controls.
Very good. And when I talk about IT general controls, or like, when we discuss IT general controls, these are the general controls around the system. These are the controls which are set up around the systems, technology, softwares that the company has. Let's say, for example, these controls are not effective. They are not working appropriately. What problem, there will be? What kind of problem, we can be into? So let's say these controls are not working effectively. I have no comfort on the ITGC. What will happen? Anyone? Control risk is high. Very good. More substantial procedures are required to be done. Yes, absolutely correct. So what I will be doing, I will be ending up doing is that my work will increase. Reason because now I no longer have comfort over the system. I no longer have the comfort over the system. So whatever data is being flowed from this system to the financial statement, I don't have comfort on that also. That means if any system is used to record data, and that if that financial data, basically, if any system is used to record financial data, and if I don't have a comfort on that system, that means I don't have a comfort that is the financial data being used, generated, and at the end going in the financial statement. Okay. So to have the comfort on that financial data, I need to have a comfort on the that system which is being, either generating, consuming, or, fetching the financial data. And for that comfort, I need to do the digital audit. Clear? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's the purpose of digital audit. Now, in order to answer this question, like the advantages of digital audit. Now tell me, what do you think are the advantages of digital audit? After having all this discussion, one was time saving. What else? What else do we have as an advantage of doing digital audit?
Better audit quality.
Better audit quality. Okay. What else?
If control is good, then reliable information will be given.
Okay. If the control is good, then reliable information. Yes. Quality, reliability on the information.
Improve risk assessment.
How?
Less cost, sir.
Cost, yes. Cost, okay. Less cost.
Manager and auditor put their testing in higher risk area.
Very good. Yes, that's why I have a improved risk assessment. So improved risk assessment, because now I know where is the risk. If the system failed, I know now the risk is here. So improved risk assessment. Yes or no? So time saving, quality, reliability, cost, improvement, risk assessment. If I have to summarize this particular answer, like you have guys have given the correct answer. Okay, it's really correct. If I have to summarize this answer, I would say it is nothing but EQCR. EQCR. So answer to this particular question is EQCR. And when I say EQCR, you know what is EQCR. Okay. That is the engagement quality control. So when I'm talking about the quality, so it's easy way to remember this answer. So advantages of digital audit is the quality control, EQCR. Just remember this short form. Okay. Now what is EQCR? Let me take you to the answer. EQCR stands for enhanced effectiveness and efficiency. Q for better audit quality. C for lower cost. Okay, R for improved risk assessment, and you can say better analytics. Now, instead of analytics, you can also say that, okay, you can identify trends, you can identify patterns which you were not able to identify earlier, manually because of the manual challenges. So it's kind of a better audit. Overall, better audit quality. So EQCR, or you can say for analytics, A. That's the answer of advantages of digital audit. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt till now? Easy to remember? Advantages of digital audit? EQCR. A. That's it. Okay. Now, coming to the next part. We understood what is the advantages of having digital audit. Fine. Okay. Now, the next part I want to discuss is challenges in digital audit. What do you think there could be challenges when we are doing the digital audit? What challenges you think you can face when you are doing the digital audit? Anyone?
Data security.
Data security. Okay. Fine. What else?
Proper trained person should be there, sir.
Trained person should be there. Yes. Anyone else with anything further to add?
More work to avoid errors and
What could be the
something.
challenge? So one is auditor needs to understand the change. Yes, very good. Error in mapping the data. Yes, very good. So think of category wise. Okay. Now, whatever advantages we have discussed, now against each advantage, we will map a particular challenge to get your answer. Simple. Okay, so when I discussed enhanced efficiency and effectiveness. Now, efficiency and effectiveness can only come when you have a standardization. If you don't have a standardized process, if your processes are not standardized, you cannot get effectiveness and efficiency. So without standardization, you cannot achieve enhance effectiveness and efficiency. That's why you need standardization. Standard, if you have a standard data, you can achieve the effectiveness and efficiency on that. If it is the unstructured, unstandard data, a problem. Okay. Then better audit quality. If I talk about, I'm going through the voluminous data. I am going through the data which is very bulky, and for that I am actually getting the audit better. But to run the technology, you need people. To have the better quality, it's not only about the systems, it's about the people. What if the people are not able to understand what technology it is? What if they think the change is difficult? Third, lower cost. Yes, lower cost. But benefits, what are the benefits? One is a lower cost. Now, the business before, going to for a particular this kind of audit, okay, what are the business benefits for this particular digital audit? So one is the benefits. Cost, fine. But what are the other benefits? What is the cost benefit analysis of that particular part? So I'm talking about cost benefit analysis. Better analytics. Yes, better analytics. You can get very good analytics from digital audit. Yes, no doubt. But to have that, you need a strategy. To achieve that, you need to understand what you are looking for, the strategy for that. Okay. And the last part is the improved risk assessment. This is possible when your data basically is appropriate. So risk assessment can only be considered when the data is appropriate. So data security becomes a challenge over here. So behind each and every advantage, you can say there is a kind of a digital audit challenges which are involved. Then only you can achieve the advantage. Otherwise, you cannot achieve the advantage. Okay. So benefits, people, strategy, standardization, processes, challenges, all these things are there. That will create the basically problem for the digital audit. Okay. So you can map the challenges in front of the advantages, and by that way you can easily remember the advantages of digital audit and the challenges which are involved. Clear? Any doubt? Okay, so if we go again to the challenges part, consideration and the challenges for the digital audit, these are the things that we discussed: the benefits, the people, the right processes, and the standardization of those processes. Okay, you need a broader strategy to understand how this automation should be there, and the data security part that we discussed. Okay, now that is something we discussed about the digital audit. We're pretty much clear about the digital audit. We understand what is digital audit. Now let's go to the auditing digital. Now let's go to the auditing digital. So what did we discuss about auditing digitally? What was auditing digitally? Anyone?
Doing audit using technology.
Yes, doing audit using technology. Now, what benefit we can get from doing audit using technology? What benefit we can get?
Efficiency, time saving.
Yes, efficiency, time saving. Very good.
Quality of audit.
Quality of audit.
decreasing human.
So let's see also a
Dependence.
question. Yeah. Let's see a question on this one also. And then connection to that question we'll discuss. Mehta and Verma Chartered Accountants, the traditional audit firm, is conducting the statutory audit of large listed logistics company. Logistics company, transport, like company that supplies goods from here and there. Logistics one, transport company, you can say. The company's entire operation from booking to delivery and invoicing are managed through complex integrated ERP systems, resulting in millions of transactions annually. Fine. The audit partner, Mr. Mehta, notes that the firm's current approach of manual testing and sampling is becoming highly inefficient. It requires significant man hours for repetitive tasks and provide less assurance. Only a fraction of the transaction can be reviewed. He proposes a strategic shift to auditing digitally, investing into the data analytics tool, automation like RPA, to test 100% of the transaction data, automate reconciliations, and create dynamic risk dashboards. The audit team, accustomed to manual method, is hesitant. To get their buy-in, Mr. Mehta asks you, the IT audit lead, to explain the specific benefits of this new approach, which will bring to their audit process. Okay, and what are the key features of auditing digitally that you would explain? So here, basically, you need to understand this entire scenario, okay, and provide me that what are the key features that you think, okay, or the advantages are there for the auditing digitally. I'll just take a minute, read the question, entire question again, and then try to answer. So you guys have given the answer, some of the answers, but from this particular question, you will also identify some benefits of auditing digitally. Okay, anyone?
A 100% coverage can be done through digital auditing rather
Yes.
than a sampling procedure used.
Coverage, yes, very good. So I can say automation, coverage, I can get it. Automate. So I'll highlight for you. Automation, yes. What else? So that I can get coverage. What additional benefit I will get from doing the auditing digitally? Just read the question, you can answer it from this particular question itself. The question itself contains the answer.
Redundant, repetitive tasks can be eliminated.
Yes, redundant, repetitive tasks can be eliminated. So I will bring automation and ease to test 100%. Yes. Transparency, Neha. Yes, very good. It will increase transparency. Transparency as in, like earlier, I was only able to review the fraction of the transactions. But now I am trying to review 100%. So it will increase the transparency. Now, earlier process, very good, Geeta. Earlier process was basically inefficient. Now I will get the improved efficiency for that. What else? So efficiency, transparency, automation. Very good, Geeta. Less staff required. Earlier, to test this particular thing, I was requiring significant man hours for the repetitive task. Now, this will not require significant man hours. Yes, very good. So this will overall will help me to perform a dynamic risk board. Like, here it is that it will create a dynamic risk dashboard. This will only help me, not only, like give me a dashboard, but will also help me in risk assessment. So risk assessment, then significant man hours will be helpful in less staff. Okay. Inefficient, that will help me to improve efficiency. Fraction of transactions were reviewed. Now I can increase the transparency by reviewing more transactions. Okay. Automate, I could easily now automate the process. Automation can be brought into. So these are certain benefits of my auditing digitally. Yes or no? And when I test 100%, my quality will definitely improve. So efficiency, dependency, transparency, risk assessment, automation, quality, all these are the benefits of your auditing digitally. Your question itself contains the answer. Your question itself contains the answer. Now, to give you an easy answer, if you want to learn the advantages of auditing digitally, it is nothing but R date. Easy to remember. Now, what is R date? When I say R, is a risk assessment, improved risk assessment. When I say D, less dependency, less staff. When I say A is automation. It helps me to automate the task. T, transparency. And E stands for my efficiency. And this overall improves audit quality. So R date is basically the answer for the advantages of auditing digitally. Clear? Any doubt? Let's go back to the study material and go through that particular part. So key advantages of auditing digitally. Improved quality. Dependency, decreasing human dependency. Now I am not required more staff to test 100%. Transparency will improve. Automation and ease. Improved efficiency and better risk assessment. So because of the R date, your entire audit quality is getting improved. That's your answer. That's it. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt? Okay. If no doubts, now we need to understand few things before we proceed. See, today you basically, if you want to do digital audit, let's go back to the digital audit. Now we understand the difference between auditing digitally and digital audit. Now, if you want to perform digital audit, remember every time whenever we were discussing a particular standard, we were discussing what we need to do to perform this kind of assignment. For example, when we were discussing review, so to perform the review, what we need to do? To perform the audit, what we need to do? To perform other assurance engagement, what we need to do? And similarly for the agreed upon procedures. Similarly, what we will understand over here, to perform the digital audit, what we need to do? Simple. So let's say, for example, I have or you have received, okay, you are the technology auditor appointed by ABC Limited. Now your task is to perform digital audit. Now tell me, how will you perform digital audit? Your task is to perform digital audit. Anyone? How will you perform a digital audit?
So, firstly, understand the technology, how to use and
Understand the technology, yes. So I'll understand the technology. What else? Understand the problems. Yes, I will understand the problems. But to understand the problem, I need to first understand where are the problems. See, to understand the problems, you need to first identify them. You need to see where are the problems. And then only you will be able to understand the problems. So first, let's say we'll focus on the technology. Yes, very good, Manish. We will focus on the technology and we will focus on the entity and its environment. You will understand how the environment is there. What processes are there, what processes are not there, the automation of the processes and everything. So to understand the technology plus the tech, you can say systems, you need to understand the entity. And what better can help us to understand the entity other than our SA 315? What was 315?
Identifying and assessing the risk of material misstatement through understanding the entity.
Yes, very good. Very good. So if you go through SA 315 that we have discussed, the purpose of SA 315 is that SA 315 helps us to identify and assess the risk of material misstatement through understanding the entity and its environment. When I say environment, it includes the IT environment. When I say understanding the entity, it includes the systems that are that entity has within their environment, the IT systems. Now the question comes is how you will perform this, how you will understand the entity, how you will understand the technology or IT systems. Let's talk on the ground level. You are the auditor, you want to understand the entity. How will you do that? The question is, how will you do that? Anyone? How will you do this? In order to understand the entity, what you will do? Can anyone tell me how will you perform this? Yep. So what are the risks available? Understand the automated environment, systems used. Very good. Yes, Manish, yes, Geeta. So what are the systems used? What else? Okay. Now, what happens actually is, when we are going to understand the entity, it's not just done like, okay, now I'll go to the entity and I'll perform the understanding. You have to bifurcate the understanding of the entity with respect to, between each and every process. You need to pick up a process and then you need to understand what that process says. So when we talk about understanding the entity, we have to do understanding process by process. Okay. We have to do understanding of the entity process by process. We need to understand what are the controls, what are the descriptions, what is the scenario basically. Okay. A lot of things are understood in the entity before you complete your entire understanding. And I'll give you an example. I'll show you one example, one document, which is an illustrative workflow for the P2P process. Now, I'll explain what is P2P. I'll just show you an illustrative document. Now, this is nothing but the workflow, okay, of procure to pay process. Now, what is this process? This process contains creation of purchase requisitions, purchase order, goods received, invoice processing, payment runs, all these things. Now, this contains all these processes. This is a mega process. Okay, purchase to payable, and it contains various sub-processes. Now, each process, when you have to understand the entity, you have to go to the each process level. You need to understand what is the process, what happens in that process. Then you need to understand what are the IT system components involved in that. Why IT system components? Reason because this will really help us to understand what are the softwares or technology. This is the technology part, the tech part. This is the tech part that the company is using. It is using ERP systems like SAP, Oracle, procurement module, whatever it is. It may be using inventory warehouse module. It may be using different modules of different particular softwares. Sorry. Okay. Then basically, once you understand the IT component part, the tech part over here, then what happens is you need to understand the financial controls and the application controls behind that. Which are the controls? If I have to rely, let's say for example, this one, ERP system, procurement module. Now this procurement module records the data for the purchase requisition on the basis of which at the end, the invoice processing happens. So this is entirely linked. Okay, this is entirely linked. Now, in order to get a comfort on the invoice which are processed, I need to have a comfort on all these systems. Okay, I need to have a comfort on all these systems. And to have a comfort on all these systems, I need to understand what are the controls placed in all these systems. What are the controls that are placed in all these systems? Then only I will be able to understand, okay, these are the basically controls and this is how I can rely on the system. So I need to go and I need to understand the application level control. For example, authorization, input controls, validity check, completeness, accuracy. If I talk about authorization, that system routes purchase requisition to the correct manager for approval based on a predefined monetary threshold. Let's say this control does not work. Let's say this control is not appropriate. Let's say, for example, this control fails. Means all the purchase requisitions which are raised, there's a chance that they are incorrect, not appropriately approved. If they are not approved, generally PR is converted into a formal PO. That means in organizations, first you create a purchase requisitions. Once it is approved, it becomes a purchase order. And then on the basis of that, you procure the goods and the invoice are processed. So if your first step PR is wrong, entire thing can be wrong. So a single control can destroy the entire process, entire system. Authorization. A single control of the input, like system rejects PR with no code or quantity. If I create a blank PR, I get it approved because it's a blank, no amount is involved. It will get approved and it will not require any authorization. And then I modify the amount later on. Gone, entire system crashed. You're doing fraud. And the system allows that. How can I rely upon this ERP? How can I rely upon this particular system? So what are the financial controls or application controls involved in that particular system? And for that, I need to go a step below that particular controls. I need to understand. Now see, there is a monetary thresholds involved in this. Okay. That PR should go to correct manager, correct monetary threshold should be applied and everything. But who has defined this? Who defined this threshold? Who entered this threshold? How the system knows that these are the thresholds? Or can I create a PR? I'm not from the purchase department. Can I create a PR? So basically comes that, okay, who can create the PR? Can CFO create a PR? Because then CFO will be the person who is creating. CFO is the ultimate authority. He will also be approving. I'm creating PR, I'm approving PR, I'm doing everything. Can I do that? So I will go below, one step below, and I will look into the ITGC controls, IT general controls. Over there, I will understand who has the access for it. So access controls. Who has the access for the creation of the PR? Example. This is just an example, illustrative. ITGC controls. Okay. So based on this, I will understand the ITGC controls, systems, whatever it is placed. And then I may check ITGC. I will test the ITGC controls also. I will test the application control. Okay. I will test the application control. I will try to create a PR with no quantity. Or I will, check if a user from some other department, for example, sales, can access the PR screen. So these kind of testing I will perform to understand, can I rely upon this system? That's I'm talking about digital audit. In order to perform digital audit, you need to understand the entity. And in order to understand the entity, this is something how we do the understanding of the entity. So what applications are being used, details of IT infrastructure components, organization structure, governance, policies, procedures, IT integration of service organization or anything, IT risk, IT controls, all these things you need to understand. So to understand the IT environment, first you need to understand the flow of the data, flow of the transaction. This is nothing but the flow of transaction. Okay, how the transaction flows. You need to identify significant systems. You need to identify significant systems. You need to identify manual and automated controls. Okay, these are the automated controls. Manual or automated controls. Okay, you need to identify the technology used. So along with the system is ERP. The technology, when I talk about technology, means kind of, how the systems are connected. Okay. When I talk about technology, is something how the systems are connected, various components. So from procurement module, how inventory or warehouse module gets the information, or payable module gets the information. So when I talk about this technology, I'm talking about connections between systems. Okay, you need to identify tech. Identify tech involved or used. Okay, then assess the complexity. After having entire this, what is the level of complexity over here? So you will go and check the level of complexity in this. What is the complexity? how much complex it is. This entire system, how much complex it is. By this way, you can understand the IT. This is how you can understand the IT. And if I have to give you one short word to understand the IT is, you need to understand CFAX. What is CFAX? Complexity. Okay. And then flow of transaction. Then automated or manual controls. Then you need to understand that, okay, it's automated controls or it's manual controls. So AC stands for automated or manual controls, automated controls. Okay. Then you need to understand technology. And then you need to understand the systems. So if you understand CFAX, you will get or you will understand the entire system, understanding the IT environment. Clear? So let's go back to the study material and just quickly understand from that. So understand the IT environment, as I said, you need to understand what is the flow of transaction, what is the significant system involved, what are the automated controls, technologies used, okay, and then complexity of the IT environment. If you understand CFAX, you are going to understand the IT environment. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt till now? Yes, no. No?
Please.
Okay. Okay. Now, the second thing, see, this was the first part to understand the IT environment. We understood that, okay, we need to perform the CFAX understanding. Great. We understood the technology. We understood the system. What else? Now what you will do? You are the IT, technology auditor, system auditor. You understood the systems. You understood the entity. What is the next step? What is the next step? Yes, very good, Neha. Rest of you, like if you go, okay, very good, Geeta. Yes, we will check and see the risk. Where is the risk? After understanding the entity, entire system, we will see where is the risk. Yes or no? We will try to understand where are the risks. So what can be the risk in the IT system? Let's go back to the document that I have, illustrative document, and we'll understand here. If I talk about this particular systems and everything, what do you think can be the risk over here? I'll just give you some examples, okay, of what could be a problem. If that happens, then what could be the problem? Some examples. So let's say, for example, this is one of the example of the failure. What if the ITGC for the access control is weak? An AP clerk, that's an accounts payable clerk, might also have the access to the vendor master file. They can add fake vendors, create fake invoices and approve them. Because an AP clerk will first create a fake vendor. It will then have the access to raise the purchase requisition, will get it approved. It can, collude with other people in the organization, GRN invoicing, and then payment. So if everything is done appropriately, he can actually conduct a fraud. He can actually conduct a fraud. So a particular risk is if the ITGC control fails. If a person gets unauthorized access. I'll tell you one simple. Actually, Samayathan, your answer is very appropriate, and that really happened. Instead of creating the entire fake vendor, what an employee did is he just replaced the bank account with his own bank account in a particular vendor master. He knew this is a very small vendor. Usually, the transactions are not that frequent, but the transactions happens, and there is usually companies take 90 to 120 days of delay and all that stuff. He was an accounts payable guy, so he used to deal with the vendors sometimes directly. Now when the company received the services from that particular vendor, he changed the bank account details in that particular vendor. The payment went to his bank accounts. After some time, let's say, when the vendor inquired with that AP person, the AP person directly called the vendor and he said, no, there was a problem in your services. A lot of things were issue like this way. So company has kept a hold on your payment. If you want to do future business also, then do not escalate and all this stuff. And that actually person, in order to get more work from the company, did not escalate that. And it went, he again changed back to the bank account of that particular vendor, and it went undetected for years that he siphoned the funds nearly approximately to 25 to 30 lakh rupees easily. So very good. Choosing a vendor whom you can control, an AP clerk might be able to, just enter his bank account and get the funds in his own bank accounts. So a risk, IT risk, just because he's getting the unauthorized access. For example, again, like if there is a three-way invoice, then it could be a fraudulent transaction. A fraudulent transaction can be entered into. Now, second example, change management failure. Okay. Not related to the financial part, but change management. What is the change management? Can anyone tell me what is change management? What is change management?
Sir, whenever there is a change in the system, that payment term or vendor or choosing, all these things, the system is changed. That changes is whether they properly approved or reviewed by the independent reviewer, whether it is approved or it has the audit trail, it properly documented. From when it is changed, the parameter all recorded or not. The
Yes,
change management, yeah.
So you might have seen some months ago there was a Windows blue screen crash. Everyone was getting errors because of some Cloudflare issue. Something was there. Remember? It got circulated in media also a lot that there was a lot of companies who were facing issues with respect to the blue screen in their systems. Now, what if the change management? What is a change management? Means, let's say there are systems, ERPs, IT technologies which are there. Tomorrow, let's say someone, uploads a new code to the system without testing it, without getting approval on it. So in that case, what will happen is if I upload a bad code, a bad programmed software instead of a good one, if I make a change which actually creates that entire bad program or good program into a bad one, chaos. It will, all the systems will go down simultaneously. So what if a developer makes a change to the ERP code without testing or approval? Instead of, let's say, for example, instead of three-way match, what if he changes the system and somehow the code is with bugs and with problems that it never takes the invoice to the three-way match, rather it's always approves the invoice from vendor X, something like that. So a change management, which is unauthorized changes to the system code, can create havoc on the system. Okay. So as a result, all these things, when I talk about unauthorized changes, unauthorized access, super user access, okay, gaining access privileges, failure to make IT update, data loss, data corruption, these are certain risks which you need to understand. Once you understand these risks, then only you will be able to perform the data digital audit appropriately. Okay, so let's go to the study material. So once you basically understand the system, you need to identify the risk arising from the usage of IT. As we discussed, unauthorized access, gaining access privilege, super user access. Unauthorized changes to IT applications, failure to make update to IT systems, inappropriate manual intervention, data loss, corruption. All these things are some IT risks, examples of the IT risk. Okay, this can be there. This can come into, get converted into reality. So, in order to avoid this to get converted into the reality, okay, we need to first understand something. In order to mitigate the risk, there are controls in place. Yes or no? There are controls in place. These controls are there to mitigate the risk. We need to understand the controls also. So you need to understand the control, like, okay, what is the control which is there to prevent the risk? So the next step after understanding the technology is to understand the risk. Related to IT technology. In a normal audit, when I perform a risk assessment, what is the next step I do? After the risk assessment, what I do? After risk assessment, in the normal audit, what do we do? Anyone? Performing the audit procedures? Very good. What type of audit procedures we are talking about? Test of details, yes. But there is some other type of audit procedures also we perform before test of details. Analytical procedures. Okay. Anyone else? There is another type of audit procedures we perform before test of details.
Test of controls.
Very good. Test of controls. Yes. Now, there are two types of test of controls. Like there are two things that we do in the test of controls. There are two things that we do in the test of controls. Anyone?
ITGC and application controls.
That is basically type of control. But to understand, to understand the type of control, we do something else. There are two types of testing that we do with respect to the control. No, not type 1, type 2 report. No. Test of details, no. So I'm talking about design effectiveness and the operating effectiveness. Yes or no? So once I understand what is a control design, and then I understand how is the control operating. So design and the operating effectiveness of those controls. Now, when I talk about IT systems, I'm not going to test the entire financial controls for the IT systems. No, I'm not. So I will be testing IT controls. Now, what are the IT controls? What are the type of IT controls I need to understand? So one is the ITGC controls IT general controls that we talk about. Okay. So these are the controls basically, you can say those are the general controls around the IT systems. So once you have the ITGC, then you have the application level control. Sometimes you also have a overall IT control, or they are also known as ELCs. That's the entity level controls for the IT systems. Okay, but as of now, we will focus on the ITGC. That's the main important part. In order to test the ITGC, in order to perform the testing of this, first you need to understand the control, understand the control and the control objective. Sorry, that's part where I need to write. So control and the control objective is something you need to understand. What is control objective? Anyone? What is control objective? We recently discussed about something about control and control objectives. And we discussed what was the control objective. Should I provide you a revision of that last chapter that we discussed something about control objectives? So what was control objectives? Yes, Neha. What are the control objectives? Anyone? Let me show you something that we discussed in the last session itself. Yep, over here. So we discussed something called SAE 3402. Yes or no? We discussed the type 1, type 2 report. Everywhere we were talking about this particular term. Controls related to controls objective. Controls related to control objective. Type 1, type 2 report. Yes or no? chapter number 11. So my question is, what is control objective in that sense? Not something new, not something only related to the IT. It's not a new concept. We have discussed multiple times. What is control objective? Simple. If you have to understand this term, just replace this word. Objective means target. The target of control. Why control is there? The reason why that control was created. The sole reason of the existence of that particular control. That's the objective. You need to understand the control objectives and the controls for each of the area. Whether it's the access security, whether it's program change, whether it's a data center and network. So why is the control? What is the objective of the control? What that control wants to achieve? What is the target of that control? For example, you have been given a very good list of control objectives and controls for each of the ITGC area. For example, access securities. This is the objective of the control. To ensure that the access to the programs and data is authenticated and authorized to meet the financial reporting objectives. And for that, you can have the controls over here. Objective of program change, that to ensure that the modified system continue to meet financial reporting objectives. Again, to ensure that the production systems are appropriately backed up to meet the financial reporting objectives. These are the objectives behind the control. Why we have that control in the place? What is the need of that control? What it wants to achieve? And for that, you may bring up the controls. Are you getting the point? So you need to understand the control and the control objective in order to understand the controls, whether it's a ITGC, application level, and everything. Security, yes. So all these things you need to understand. What is the basically objective of the control? And then you can understand, okay, how to identify the risk, how to understand the control objectives, and you need then will be able to understand and identify the key controls out of it. Clear? Okay. Now one last question. In financial audit, we have special areas. For example, understanding the law or regulation, related party, subsequent events, going concern. Okay, we have a special areas in financial audit. But in case of digital audit, do you think any special area is there? Because in financial audit, we have multiple special areas that we understand. Is there any special area in digital audit? The way we have in financial audit. And something similar to the going concern. So this is similar to going concern. What is that much big area in the digital audit which is equivalent to the going concern? Going concern of digital audit.
Viruses, malwares.
Yes, viruses. Very good. But not viruses, just one thing. In technical terms, in IT terms, if I talk about virus, it's just a one thing. It may include ransomware, malware, Trojan, phishing, all these things. So we are talking about cyber fraud, cyber risk. So the special area similar to the going concern is nothing but your cyber risk. Over there, we have a going concern risk, uncertainty. Here we have a cyber risk. the thing which can bring your entire system down with one mistake. Ransomware attack. Have you seen a ransomware attack before? Anyone heard of any ransomware attack before?
Yes, sir. One of my client company, they hacked the entire system. They asked for some amount of money. They demanded it. Then finally, our internal IT team itself involved, and they spent around 1 month to rectify that.
Yes, absolutely. So ransomware attacks are kind of, you can say, disasters. Basically, over there, your system gets hacked. Your entire data is deleted or either encrypted. You cannot access a ransomware attack. You cannot access your data when a ransomware attacks happen. So there are multiple cases of ransomware attacks. Multiple cases. One was if I talk about there was one ransomware attack, WannaCry. It was a ransomware attack. Okay. Basically,
Actually, what happens in the file, wherever the file we see, no, it will in front of the file name, it will be show the dollar symbol at the lukewarm, like that. It will be there, that infinity symbol, and the end of that also it will be there like that. If you are open that, the IT team instructed not to open that any file.
Yes.
They actually stopped all the activity, including server also. It is attacked actually.
Yes, very good. Yes, absolutely. So in case of a ransomware attack, you have to stop because it spreads so fast that you cannot do anything. Like even if you go and let's say, for example, if you try to stop it, you will not be able to, because it requires specific scales and everything. That critical is a ransomware attack. Okay, one of the example I'm giving you. Okay, and I'll also show you one image from the actual ransomware attack. Okay, this was one of the image which was there from actual ransomware attack. I'm telling you, what happens in this kind of attack is, when you start your computer, when you start your systems, you will get this kind of image. This is the time left, otherwise your files will be lost. Okay, your entire files will be lost. Payment you have to make within this particular time. They will give you the how to buy bitcoins, how to pay us, everything in this. But if you failed, you're gone. Your entire system will be deleted. Your files are already being encrypted. So this was one of the, I can remember there were multiple ransomware attacks, but this WannaCry was one of the worst. It affected a lot of organizations across the world. And they basically, how these happens, they actually trigger, or they actually get into your systems through something called a deficiency, or you can say something called a issue which is there in your system. Okay, so if there is an exploit, we call it exploit in the technical terms. If there is an exploit in your system, these particular softwares, malwares, they go and they exploit that particular vulnerability in your system, and they somehow get spread across the files and everything. If I remember this particular correctly, it impacted 150 countries. This WannaCry ransomware. I'm just giving you an example and number. 150 countries. And even advanced and very advanced facilities cannot stop this kind of thing. So cyber risk, basically, if I talk about, one of such is ransomware, is kind of a going concern related scenario. Okay, similar to going concern of your financial statement. And that's why this area requires a specific understanding or specific attention. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt? Okay. If no doubts, what we can do is let's take a quick 10-minute break. After the break, we'll gather back and continue the session. Okay. We will discuss on then cyber risk. Let's take a break. So we were talking about before the break about the cyber risk, which is similar to the going concern for the audit of a financial statement. Okay, similar to that, we have a cyber risk, an understanding of the cyber risk, assessment of the cyber risk, how to deal with the cyber risk. We will understand that now. The way we were understanding, okay, what is going concern, how to perform the going concern assessment, how to do, like what are the things involved in the going concern. Similarly, we will understand what is cyber risk, what are the stages of the cyber risk, okay, and then how to basically address this at this particular cyber risk part. So first of all, to understand what is cyber risk. Anyone, what is cyber risk? Quick recap of what we discussed. What is cyber risk? Anyone? What is cyber risk? If I talk about cyber risk or the risk that we have discussed till now, remember, if you want to easily remember all the cyber risks together, remember damage. What is damage? Data loss. Okay. A stands for your access, unauthorized access. M stands for your unauthorized changes to the master files. Okay. Changes to master files. A stands for application. So if there is an unauthorized changes to the application, unauthorized G stands for gaining IT privileges or super user access. Gaining super user access. And the last, which is E, is nothing but your, kind of inappropriate intervention. When I talk about E, it's nothing but your inappropriate intervention and errors due to inappropriate intervention. Errors due to inappropriate intervention to the system. Okay, our system get exposed. Yes, very good, Samantha. It get exposed due to manual intervention. Okay, you can say exposed due to manual intervention. So remember, cyber risk. And if I talk about the various type of risk, the damage. Now, there are also, ways for the cyber risk. These are some impacts I'm talking about. Okay, but there are something that we need to understand. The common type of cyber attacks, because whenever the risk is exploited, okay, this vulnerability of the data loss, unauthorized access, changes to the master file, whenever this happens, at the end, what happens is there is a cyber attack. Okay, if a cyber risk get materialized, then you end up going into the cyber attack. Okay, so once a risk is materialized, once damage happens, that means cyber attack. So if a damage happens, if damage happens, that is your cyber attack. Now, there are various types of cyber attacks. Okay, we will see and refer chart for that. there are various cyber attacks, and the study material has appropriately provided that. So in your study material, you have a very good chart for the cyber attack, very common types of cyber attack on page number 12.17. Okay, which talks about malware, which includes your ransomware attacks, fileless malwares. Ransomware we understood. Fileless malware. What is fileless malware? Is basically these are the kind of viruses, you can say, which are hidden behind other files. They don't have their own files, but they are hidden in someone. Trojan, similar of that. They are kind of viruses which enter through back doors. Mobile viruses. Spear phishing. Now, what is phishing? Phishing is kind of a scenario. Phishing is a kind of activity, okay, where basically the criminal who is there, who wants to, fraud you, defraud you, or wants to gain the access, or wants to do the damage. They use email, they use phone, social media techniques to get your information and to make you believe, okay, that they are legal, they are, authorized, and they kind of, get the information from you. Or they will do something that you provide the access to them. So they try to fraud you. They try to, make you think, okay, no, they are the correct ones. You need to trust on them. And then in that basis of trust, they perform kind of, like attacks on your system. They install something, you're gone. Okay. So there are various types of phishing. Okay. When I talk about various types of phishing, spear phishing. Spear phishing is nothing but targeted. Targeted phishing. That means they specify and they identify the target, and then they try to do activities around that particular individual. For example, social engineering. They will get the information about you from social media. Let's say one common fraud I'll tell you, or type of phishing happens is, most of us orders things from this e-commerce platforms. Okay. Now what happens is, once you order things from e-commerce platform, what we do is we get the box, we open it, we keep the icon, and we throw the box. But in that case, there is a invoice or something affixed on your box, which has your information, your order information, your personal information, phone number, address, your contact details, about your orders, from where the order was, or from where the order, is supposed to go, the item involved, everything. What they do is, these people collect these type of boxes, empty boxes. Then they will call you based on the contact detail, and they will say, okay, we are calling from this particular company. We know that this order number has been, you have received this order number, but there is a problem in this order. So our person will come to you to collect it back, and we will deliver a new product. And you say, okay, fine, like it appears to be genuine, and they come to your house, they collect the product, and they go, and then later you realize it's a fraud. Spear phishing. You are targeted because they have your information. Whaling. Whaling is a kind of a scenario where, like, basically it's attack which is done on the very C-level executives. Means, example, CFO, CEO, chairmen. So they try to catch a big whale, big fish in the pond, whale. So it's a whaling. Smishing is kind of basically, again, a type of phishing, but again, it's basically sending through text message. Okay, it will appear that, okay, they are from the reputable company and they are trying to reach out to you for something, and you provide them information, gone. So when they do phishing through SMSs, it's a phishing. Phishing is kind of phishing through voice. They will call you, they will act as a customer care representative or something like that. They will try to get the details from you, and gone. So S stands for text message, okay, or SMS, you can say, and V stands for voice. Whaling is kind of a big fish, which is C-level executive. And spear phishing is nothing but your targeted. Okay, this is how you can remember spear phishing, mailing, smishing, and wishing. Okay. Then comes the spoofing. What is spoofing? There are two types of spoofing: domain spoofing and email spoofing. Domain spoofing is kind of creating a similar domain, but it will not be a genuine one. It will be a fraud. For example, let's say there is a bank, ABC Bank. In India, now each and every bank is required to use a specific domain. It's compulsory that every bank has to use a specific domain. Okay, so there is a specific domain called .bank that soon it will be implemented behind each and every bank for their website. Okay, now let's say, for example, there is something called domain spoofing. There is something called ABC Bank. Instead of abc.bank or abc.in, they created abcbank.in. Instead of abc.in, the website, they created abcbank.in. You will think, no, abcbank.in or abc.in appears similar. Let's go for ABC. Everything, the website will look like it's original website. And the moment you will enter your details, gone. Same with email spoofing. You will get emails, it will appear that it is from the correct person, correct domain, but they are fake. That's through email. Insider thread is something, like the thread is already there inside the systems and then it is used and exploited. DNS tunneling is basically, the way the data and the information transfers from one computer to another on internet. DNS tunneling means transferring your data, or that basically, the data goes from such a places, they get access of it. Okay. So DNS queries are kind of, you can say, let's say, for example, domain name servers, which are there, domain name servers. Let's say you type google.com or google.co.in. It goes to the server. It's the server then checks, okay, what is the domain name? Okay, DNS. Now, it says, okay, there is a particular server, Google will say, the server will say, okay, there is the address of the Google, you request now go to over there. DNS tunneling happens that when that information or that request passes through unauthorized servers, so that your IP address, whatever request you are sending, it's get extracted from it. Okay. So means let's say, for example, you want to send a message to someone. Now, instead of message directly going to that person, it routed through 3 different persons. And that person then understands that particular message. Then the person then, reads your information. That's a DNS tunneling. Then you have the IoT based attack. IoT is the Internet of Things. Okay. For example, various different devices which are connected in your house. IoT. Okay. If there is an impact, if there is an attack on one of the device, it can create an issue. That's an IoT based attack. So these are the common type of cyber frauds, basically. Okay. DNS is not the denial of service. DNS is a different type of, basically, DNS tunneling is a different type of thing. So DNS tunneling and DOS, when I say denial of service, is a DOS attack. Denial of service is a scenario where you are not being provided the information. The service is not provided to you. Why? Because there are multiple things, that happens that, the services are stopped at your end. That's a DOS, denial of service. DNS is something different. DNS tunneling is different thing. Okay. So these are the common types of cyber frauds or cyber attacks, you can say, that happens on the system. Okay. Once the risk is, basically vulnerability is exploited, these attacks happen. Now, there are stages of a particular cyber risk. There are stages of the cyber risk. When I say stages of the cyber risk is something you can say how cyber risk is basically understood by the organization. So, for example, we will go to our chart again back when I talk about going concern. Now, when we talk about going concern, we say going concern assessment. We have to do going concern assessment. Okay. Similarly, after understanding the cyber risk, you need to do cyber risk assessment. The way we do similar to going concern assessment for the financial statement, we perform cyber risk assessment in case of digital audit. Okay. Now, what is cyber risk assessment? Can anyone tell me what is cyber risk assessment? Anyone? Yes, very good. Very good, Samayathan. So when I talk about cyber risk, okay, stages of cyber risk or cyber risk assessment entire process. So that process is divided into 3 parts, which is AIM. You can easily remember that, AIM. The first part is you understand, you assess the cyber risk. You understand the cyber risk. Second part is you understand the impact of the cyber risk. Third part, you understand how to manage that cyber risk. It's not only about understanding the cyber risk, assessing the cyber risk. No. Like what type of, let's say for example, this chart, the ransomware chart, cyber attack chart we are talking about. This is only first part, assessing. You will assess the cyber risk. That is, you identified what cyber risk can happen. This is assessing, one part. Now, the second part is, if this happens, what is the loss that your company will get? What is the impact if this cyber risk get materialized? What will be the impact? It's not only about the type, it's the impact assessment also we need to do. Where the impact will be. And the third part is the managing the cyber risk. Gaining the understanding how we need to manage it. That's a cyber risk assessment, how it has been managed. So impact assessment and how it has been managed. So you understand how part over here. In going concern assessment, remember, you ask management, how you have performed the going concern assessment. What you have considered in your going concern assessment. Have you considered 12 months period? Have you considered all the events and conditions? Similarly, in cyber risk assessment, we assess the cyber risk, identification of the cyber risk. We do the impact assessment. We see how it has been managed. That's where we use the AIM, assess, impact, and manage to understand the cyber risk. These you can say stages of the cyber risk assessment also, or cyber risk. Clear? Now, the last part, as I said, this is a specific area, special area. Now, special area requires special type of testing, special type of consideration, or special type of, you can say, procedures. Okay, the way we have for the going concern, similarly, you need special type of procedures over here. And as an auditor, you will understand that how the organization, this how part, okay, will go in a much more deeper level. So we will understand that how the entire cyber related risk is being managed at the organization level. Because at the end, I'm the technology auditor. I need to understand how the organization, the entity is managing the cyber risk. And for that, most of the companies, most of the organization, to manage the cyber risk, they bring up one important thing. That is the cyber security framework. Cyber security framework. Okay. To manage this, to manage the cyber risk, they bring the cyber security framework. This is kind of a procedures. These are the kind of things which are there to protect an organization from the cyber risk. Now, over here, in this cyber security framework, okay. So there are multiple nowadays. I will show you something with respect to the legal side of it. Till now, we were talking about the concept, but I will show you something. That's the legal side of cybersecurity framework. So when I talk about cybersecurity framework, most of us, we understand, no, how it will be applied to an auditor, why auditor has to look into this, why auditor is bothered with the cybersecurity framework. The reason because nowadays cybersecurity framework are embedded in the law itself. Yes, I'm talking about they are part of the law. And just for your understanding, this is a SEBI circular, okay, which is applicable to all the, if you say AIFs, clearing corporation, credit rating agencies, debenture trustees, depositories, investment advisors, research analysts, KYC, merchant bankers, mutual funds, portfolio managers, stockbrokers, exchange, venture capitals, to everyone. And what it does is it brings this cyber security and cyber resilience framework for a lot of SEBI regulated entities. So this is the regulations, yes, cyber security and cyber resilience framework issued by the SEBI in 2024, which place a lot of requirements. For example, see, so I'll just show you something. Yeah. This is the entire framework that the SEBI has came up with. Like, okay, what is the cyber resilience goal? Okay, functions, identify, protect. So they have, like, bring up they have provided, like, okay, functions. What is governance is required to do? Identify the cyber risk, protect the systems. Okay, detect the cyber risk, then respond to it. See how we are. What is the thing? Identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. Identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. Basic things for a cyber security. Basic. And then you have new concept, which is evolve and the governance part. Because it's a law, then that's why they have the evolve and the governance part. Now let's go to the study material. When I talk about cyber security framework, it is nothing but the same. Identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. Plus over there you have evolved something, but it is something which is already similar in the law. This is also part of the law nowadays. And this is not only implemented by the SEBI, but it is also implemented by the RBI also. So RBI has also issued cybersecurity framework. There's a different framework issued by this like RBI through master directions, but again, it's on the same line. It is on the same line. What you are required to do in the cybersecurity framework, what is the requirement. So everything is there in that regulation, which has been issued by the RBI as of now. Even for the SEBI. And different regulators are bringing up those regulations because they consider that, okay, cybersecurity is something a top priority for the nation as of today, for all the entities. So when you are doing the audit, even for the financial statement, when we talk about consideration of the laws and regulation under SA 250, these frameworks come into the picture. See, this is the SEBI, RBI one. So these are the regulations with respect to the information technology governance, risk control and assurance practice direction 23, cybersecurity framework for the SEBI, also for the RBI. Applicable to a lot of, if you see this applicable, it is to scheduled commercial banks, small finance banks, payments banks, non-banking financial corporation, credit information companies, and all these regulators. And it contains a lot of things. IT governance, roles of the board of directors, IT infrastructure, service management, then access controls, that things we are now studying. Periodic review of IT related risk, information security policy and cyber security policy, risk assessment. This is a very important testing nowadays, everyone is focusing. That is a VAPT, vulnerability assessment and penetration testing. Again, for your information. This is where we are talking about IES audit, information system audit, digital audit. So the things which we are studying are now becoming part of the law gradually. And a lot of things are already there. So this cybersecurity framework you have for the SEBI also, for the RBI, for all the entities, regulated entities. And this is a glimpse of the cybersecurity framework that we have over here, but over there, there's a very detailed one. Now, what this framework says, in order to tackle the cybersecurity risk, in order to mitigate the cybersecurity risk, okay, in order to address this cybersecurity risk, this cybersecurity, okay, there is a framework required. Framework, you can understand, mix of control, processes, and testing. A lot of things are required. Okay. So cybersecurity framework is basically a type of mix of control, testing, and processes wherein a lot of things are there that you need to perform in an organization to protect your organization from the cybersecurity or cyber fraud or cyber risk. So security brought into to protect from the cyber risk. It's a cybersecurity framework. Now, when I talk about cybersecurity framework, it includes a lot of things. Primarily, it is divided on these 5 fundamental principles. You can say these are the 5 fundamental principles of the cybersecurity framework. One is to identify the risk. What is the risk involved? It can be done through multiple ways. For example, periodic assessment. For example, development of strategies. For example, understanding the IT systems and all those things we have understood. You understand the asset management, how the assets are managed and everything. Then you need to protect the risk. That means you need to bring controls around it. Okay. How to protect from the risk. When I say protect the risk, it's protect from the risk. How to protect from unauthorized access, data securities. You need to give training, you need to safeguard the assets. A lot of things is required to be done to protect from the risk. Detect the risk. Why detect the risk is because you cannot mitigate risk to the zero. Remember, inherent limitation of the audit. You cannot bring the risk to the zero. Never. You cannot make the risk to zero. So that's why you need to detect the risk. Here what we are doing, prevention. But we know that we cannot prevent 100%. 100% prevention is not possible. That's why we are not detecting. Tell me one thing, can you prevent fraud 100%? Answer is no, we cannot. We cannot prevent the fraud 100%. So in that case, what we do, our certain controls are detective in nature. Similarly, you cannot protect the risk 100%. That's why you need to detect the risk. If there is any security breach incident that has happened, and if you identify that, then you need to respond it. Once you identify, you need to respond to that risk. If you identify a security breach, data breach, take actions to protect or to remove that risk. For example, ransomware attack happened. Now it has happened. You have detected the risk. You identified ransomware attack happened. Now what? You need to respond. You need to make sure that the attack does not spread further. The attack becomes limited only, and then recover. Once the attack is done, damage is done. Remember damage. Once the damage is done, your data is gone, unauthorized accesses are there. Now you have to recover from the damage. Recover from the damage now. Bring back to normal. Okay, that's the recovering from the risk. Now, why we need to understand this? Why we need to understand this 5-step approach? Identify. So the 5-step approach basically that we are talking about is given in this beautiful chart also. Identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. But why we need to do that? Why we need to understand this? And simple answer is that this one, IPDRR, okay? IPDRR. This is because that we, as a digital auditor, we need to understand how management has applied this IPDRR, and based on that, we will get a comfort, assurance on the system. So, by understanding this, you can get assurance on digital systems. Okay, by understanding how management protects their systems, identify the risk, you will get more understanding of the systems and get more assurance. Understanding of this is required because of the SA 315, understanding the entity and its environment. We have to understand how cybersecurity framework has been implemented, what is implemented in the name of cybersecurity framework, so that we can understand the entity, we can understand the entire cybersecurity, and we can get the comfort over the cyber risk, which is equivalent to going concern assessment or going concern for the financial statement. Okay, financial statement going concern, cyber risk for the digital system. Now, to get the comfort on the cyber risk, you need to understand what type of cyber security framework, mix of control, processes, testing the management is doing. What type of security framework management has, so that you can get the comfort on it. Clear? Why this cyber security framework is important? Anyone? Any doubt? Any doubt? Okay. If no doubt, then basically we have understood the part where how we need to perform the digital audit. This is how you do a digital audit. Clear with this? The part of the digital audit. Remember, cybersecurity is now part of the rules, laws, and regulations which is applicable to most of the listed and regulated entities. The way we saw in the SEBI circular, RBI circular, this is just for your information. But the concepts are going to remain the same. So the concept will not change. But yes, basically, things are going to be the same. Like, it is going to be applicable to most of regulated entities nowadays, which may involve, assessing the cyber incidents, performing all these things that we are talking about. So as an auditor, you might be required to perform these kind of audits for the regulated entity in the coming future. Or a lot of times nowadays itself, we perform the ISA audits, information system audits. Clear? Any doubt? Okay. If no doubts, then now we will shift to another part of the discussion. Now we will talk about more on to auditing digitally. The second part, auditing digitally. See, when I talk about auditing digitally, basically, what we are talking about, using tools and technologies, yes or no? Auditing digitally is kind of using tools and technologies. Now, if I give you the list of tools and technologies, like an easy way to remember, for the list of tools and technologies, okay, that will really help you to understand what technologies we are talking about. So, emerging technologies in the audit we are talking about now, emerging technologies, the tools and technologies that we can use in the audit for auditing digitally. You can say kind of Dr. BAI. Dr. BAI, that's one of the way to remember. I just, sorry, right? Dr. BAI. What is Dr. BAI? Data analytics tool. Okay. RPA. Blockchain. Artificial intelligence, AI itself, and IoT. So these are certain technologies, emerging technologies or tools that you can use in the, your audit. And based on that, you can actually perform the, audit quicker. The way we understood the advantages, this is what advantage is. By using these tools and technologies, you can get this advantage. Dr. BAI. Okay. So these are the emerging technologies that you can use to get the understanding of, and perform the audit digitally. Clear? Any doubt? Okay. Now, again, there are various ways these technologies can be used. There are multiple ways. Okay. So one such way is like, basically where, you use data analytics tools to perform the, data analytics over a given set of data. Based on that, you basically, get the information about the data, how it is. I'll show you one example, okay, of data analytics through AI. Simple standard example, nothing much complex, but you will understand how quickly it happens. or we will try to do it rather. But again, AI is unpredictable, so we don't. So this is just one example I'm showing. This is what a dummy list of invoices, which contains 365 invoice for each day in the particular file. Okay, dummy invoices, nothing else. Everything is dummy. Now, for example, if I have to analyze this data, which contains of 365 line items, difficult for me. Takes time, half an hour, 1 hour, apply charts and everything, do a lot of things. What I can do, use an artificial intelligence. If I have a structured data, what I can do is analyze this data for me. It can, I don't know the output, but again, what we are seeing is an emerging technology at use. Okay, so now this particular AI can help me to analyze this data. What we are doing is we are doing the like analysis. Let's say show sales trends by month. Earlier, I have to create a chart. I have to do sanitization of the data. A lot of things to understand the data. But now with the help of AI, what I'm doing is quickly analyzing the data. And I can do a lot of data analytics with the help of that. See, it gave me a quick analysis of month-wise sales over here from the dummy data with a chart itself. This is a chart, monthly sales chart, and this is the data. It shows me, okay, lowest month April, likely due to fewer transactions early in the data set. After April, sales surged in the month of May and stabilized at high levels with the seasonal fluctuations. If I have more data, I can correlate the data. I can do much more detailed analytics. If I can, let's say for example, here by item, if I ask them, okay, provide summary by item, provide trend summary by item. It will generate item-wise trend summary for me. And there is no limitation on the data. So the file can be much bulkier. It can contain thousands of line item. But this analytics, this tool, which is artificial intelligence, can do the analytics quickly for me on this 1,000 or more than that line items. See, Carjack dominates across the months with sharp spike in May, July, and January. You can go and check, okay, why there's an increase in the sale of May, July, and January. Fuel pump consistently growth with the peaks in June and December. You can go and check. So this is how you can do a trend analysis. Also, you can ask, like, provide me unusual transactions or trends in this data set. Now, again, this is very generic query that I'm giving to a particular this AI, but I'm just showing you an example. If you know what you are looking for, you can give a specific query and then AI can generate for you. It can perform the analysis for you. This is nothing but use of emerging technology in your audit to quickly perform the audit. Otherwise, to perform this kind of analytics, it would have taken a lot of time. See, extremely high total amounts outliner. So these spikes are driven by huge quantity, high priced items. Price mismatch, not found. Quantity outliers, not found. Key patterns, like this. But these are the high value items. And easily, I can go and check these invoices. With just few prompts, I got the analysis done. I'm like, again, I have to go and verify the output because sometimes it's not reliable. But again, you have something in your hand. Now you need to just check whether it is correct or not. That is the use of emerging technology. So we saw a data analytics technique. Data analytics through AI. What we did is we found the actionable insight, trends. We came to conclusions. Now, based on the conclusions, I can create the strategy for the audit. This can help me to discover and analyze the patterns. We just now did. Identify anomalies, high value items, extract other useful information. Based on your information, you can, like, if you have further information in this, like price list, or you can say customer list, a lot of things. Combine that and then perform a multiple analysis. You will get a lot of things. So for that, you have ACL, that's audit command language analytics, or analytics command language. Okay, a tool to do a data analytics. Nowadays, AI plus ACL is being used. Ultrix is another powerful tool available in the market which performs this kind of data analytics. And again, now with the help of AI, it's amazing. Power BI. Power BI is the visualization of the data, you can say. Okay. Power BI basically is nothing but the visualization of the data that is there. So there are, the data once we have, what happens is Power BI dashboard actually creates, or Power BI actually helps to create, visualization of the data. As a result, based on this, we can, get what data it is, how it is. So considering, you can say that, okay, like, making the data into the charts. So there are various type of, Power BI dashboards, Power BI charts, which are available in the market. You can quickly create. I'll just show you a summary, one example of Power BI dashboard. Again, a lot of tools are available which integrate the Power BI into their systems, okay, to make amazing dashboards. Just a minute. Sorry, it's stuck. It's taking time. Okay, not an issue. I'll show you sometime once it gets open. So Power BI, it's kind of a summary, okay, of the dashboards of the financial data. Caseware is similar to that. Then, that was the tools for the data analytics. Automated tools in the audit. Now, what is the automated tool? Automated tool, you can say it's kind of the RPA, that's a robotic process automation. These are kind of the automations. Basically, you can say it happens automatically. So whatever process you have set up, it will happen automatically. I'll show you one of the script if I have for the RPA. It's a smaller script, nothing much, but it is for the RPA that I have. Okay, this is one of the smaller Python based script which does nothing but the filtering of the data. It is the filtering of the data. If I make this Python script automatic, means on a predetermined time, if this runs automatically, if this runs without any intervention of human, and it gives me the output the way I want, and keep it and close it, starts automatically, happens automatically, gives me the output, close it automatically, RPA. It will become an RPA. Okay. Internet of Things, as we have discussed, like, multiple different devices which are connected together to get the data. So these are some emerging technologies. AI. Again, just now you saw our live example where we use the AI. Blockchain. Again, one of the emerging technology that is there available in the market. I will again show you the example of a blockchain because we understand with the help of example only. I will show you ETH blockchain. Blockchains can be of multiple types. Okay, it can be like specific to a currency, cryptocurrency. It can be specific to a particular product. A lot of type of blockchains can be there. Okay, so let me show you one example for the blockchain. This is nothing but your ETH blockchain available on the public domain. What it happens? What is a blockchain basically? Blockchain, see, these are the blocks. Okay, let me open a particular block for you. What this block means? Blockchain means it's a chain made of blocks. Okay, when I say chain made of blocks, this is a block. Okay, if I make a chain like one block, another block, so this is a block basically. And this will contain details of previous block. So this blockchain will contain details of previous block. If I show you, see over here. This is a detail of this block. This is the detail of the parent block. That means the block immediately preceding this particular block. Now, why? See, just ending with AABF, BAF. Now, if I click this one, it will take me to somewhere else. Now, see this part over here. Immediately previous block. AABF, BAF. So, what is this happening is one block where you already have an information of its previous block. Now, if you go that, it will exactly give you the what was the previous block. Let's say, for example, next block. This next block, A, B. Now, this block will contain which was its previous block, and it will, like this way, every block contains the information of its previous block. That's why it's called a chain. You have that information, and now you can validate where the chain goes. I can go back till the time from where the chain started, because each block contains information pertaining to its previous block. And if anyone changes the block in between, the information of the previous block vanish. So for example, let's say if I change block number B, the B number, this hash changes automatically. It will become E. Now, when I will go to C, the references of B, when I will go to B, I will not find B, means the chain broke. The blockchain broke in between. You cannot now validate the chain, and that's why it will become a problem. So that's why it is said that blockchain is a very secure method, distributed ledger. So ledger is available for the public. It's everywhere. You cannot break the ledger easily. That was an example of the blockchain. Basically, as I said, decentralized distributed ledger. Each transaction is validated by the block participants. Okay, there are multiple people involved who validate, okay, whether this block is appropriate or not, and whether the previous block to this block is appropriate or not. So all the blocks are sequenced so that any modification or deletion of a block disqualifies the information. Let's say if I modify a block in between B block, the entire forward chain will get deleted. Why? Because now B block does not exist. C, D, E, F, they cannot sustain its own. Gone. So a distributed ledger, again, now what is the business implication? There is a technology called distributed ledger or blockchain based contracts. Yeah, blockchain based contracts and financing. Now, what is this blockchain based contracts? Now, there are multiple, blockchain based technologies which are coming into the market. They are the decentralized, or we call them as smart contracts. What happens is the smart contracts are on the blockchain. For example, lending related, financing related. Now, smart financing is happening. For example, let's say I want some funds. I'll go onto the blockchain. I place my request. People who are already there on the blockchain, they will fund me. And everywhere, whenever they will fund me, there will be the smart contract which is executed. Okay. So once a smart contract is executed, basically what will happen is it will in the block. Now contract executed, it is now a part of the block. Now some other contract will get executed, it will be next block. By this way, all the contracts are now in the blockchain. No one can change the contract. So it is bound. I entered into a contract, it is fixed, it's available in the market. So there is a contract. Now you cannot change that contract till the time you execute a new smart contract to nullify that. Okay. So that's how the smart contract works. So if a particular company is dealing into the smart contracts, into the blockchain, their audit, how to use them, it becomes very important. For example, they are using the cryptocurrency. They have all these things. So it becomes important for you also to understand how to audit that particular technology. NFT, similar to blockchain, similar to basically cryptocurrency, but the only part is they are unique. They cannot be replaced. Non-fungible tokens, basically. That means they can be traded, they can be exchanged, but they are non-fungible. They cannot be replaced. They are unique. Okay. They represents the ownership. For example, I will show you a NFT blockchain. An NFT asset also. So an NFT blockchain and NFT asset, I will show you. Basically, these are kind of the, you can say, blockchains or assets which are, used to record the ownership of the assets. Okay, these are kind of used to record the ownership of the assets. So you can go and check who is the owner of that particular asset. Again, I'll just show you one example. This is one just example available. These are the assets. Okay, for example, this something construction token is there. This is an NFT item. Okay, no item found. Okay, but okay, these are some tokens which are NFT items are there basically. Okay, meme coin NFT. A lot of things are there. Like a lot of things are there on the market. What happens is these are the NFTs. Basically, these NFTs have a value. They are kind of NFTs which cannot be replaced. That means this is unique. If you want to buy, there is a price to it. But I can go and check who was the owner. For example, these are NFTs. These images you are seeing, they all are NFT. If I click on this particular image, this is NFT. This is particular the name of whatever it is. And where is the price, everything. I can go and check who owned it. See, this is owned by this person. Now I can go to the blockchain. I can see what this person owns. Where is a particular, this asset is coming from, who generated it and all those things. Like this way. So I can get all this information of a particular token, basically of a NFT. I showed you this just an image, which is a non-fungible token, means it's unique. It cannot be replaced. You cannot have similar thing, another similar thing. Okay. So that's an NFT. So the as I said, we also discussed about the robotic process automation. Now, all these technologies have audit implication. Before applying, before using for the audit, you need to understand how and what are the implications of these in the audit. For example, RPA. If I use a tool, RPA tool in the audit, and one has to check the source of it. Okay. For example, as I said, I showed you a script. Now, what if the script is not appropriate? What if the script is problematic? The source code is not appropriate. Before using any of the technology, as an auditor, you need to understand what that technology does, how the technology can be used, how the technology works. I cannot blindly take a script from the internet and use as a RPA. No. I need to understand what the source code is, what it performs, how can I use it, what are the benefits of that particular technology. Then only I will be able to use that technology in the audit. Otherwise, I will not be able to use the technology. So there are risks associated with each and every technology, operational, executional. Okay. So we need to understand, as an auditor, we need to understand, are we understanding the implications of using this technology? Are we aware about the common risk or the operational or the executional risk of this technology? For example, AI. The way I use the AI, okay, what is the problem with the use of AI? Hallucination. It can give me wrong output. Okay, it can give me wrong output. What is the implication? I have to make sure that whatever data is getting, whatever analysis it is doing, it is correct. Whatever algorithm it is using, it is correct. Otherwise, every time I have to validate the output of AI. If that is the scenario, if every time I have to validate the output of AI, then what is the use of it? It's similar to you. I'm redoing everything again. What is being done by AI? So the implication for the audit can be, like, okay, one can be like, okay, if I upload the data on the AI, is it getting public? Am I maintaining the confidentiality? If you breach the confidentiality, then there is a professional ethics clause that will be applicable to you. Which was that? If you breach the confidentiality, then what will be the implication in the professional ethics? Anyone? Chapter 19. Come on quickly. If you breach the confidentiality, what will happen? Come on quickly. If you breach the confidentiality, what will happen? Which clause will get applicable? No? Clause
So
1.
professional accountant, yeah, class one will attract for that see in practice. Class two of the part two, second schedule will attract for the members in service.
Absolutely. So, clause 1, part 1, second schedule, or clause 2, part 2, second schedule. Now, in that case, like releasing a data or giving a data to AI can become a breach of confidentiality. So, you have to understand the common risk of using this technology. Data privacy, very big concern. Now, DPDP Act and rules have also been notified. You will also breach the rule. Non-compliance with laws and regulations will also be will be there. So, if we are breaching any of the confidentiality, if we are not able to maintain data privacy, it can be a problem for us as an auditor. So, before using any of the technology, you need to understand what are the risks involved with that technology. What are the common risks involved with that technology? What is the audit implication of using that technology? That technology can be used at 10 different places. But the point is that given the risk, are you able to mitigate the risk appropriately? Are you able to using that technology appropriately? Our objective of using the technology should be of such nature that we are reducing the risk. We are doing the efficient audit, quality audit, not the increasing the risk and data breach, data confidentiality breach, data privacy issues. No. So you have to understand like what is the impact of doing the audit with the technology. Are you something doing audit with the technology and increasing your risk? Are you using it appropriately? Clear? Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt? So that was the emerging technologies and the use of emerging technologies. Now there is a concept called remote audit. A lot of people might be also involved in that, but what is remote audit? Remote audit is kind of, you are auditing somewhere else by sitting over here. Okay. Remote auditing is a scenario where you are doing the audit somewhere else, but you are over here. Okay. Now, there are considerations that you need to think of before doing the remote audit. Those are the, if I talk about, it is nothing but the FAR. You need to think of FAR before doing the remote audit. What is FAR? What is FAR? What are the considerations that you need to think of before doing the remote audit? Simple. If I talk about FAR, it's nothing but you need to first understand the feasibility. Is it feasible to do the remote audit? How you will plan for the remote audit? You need to understand the feasibility part, F. Then you need to also understand the risk assessment part. Okay. So when I talk about basically assessment, how you will perform the risk assessment, whether you will be able to perform the risk assessment and whether you will be able to get the sufficient and appropriate evidence for the risk assessment. And the third one is the confidentiality, security, data protection, nothing but restrictions or R. So basically you need to understand, is there any confidentiality restrictions because of which the data cannot be shared with you? Is there any security restrictions because of which the data cannot be shared with you? Data protection related requirements. Can you access data by being at this particular place away from that particular entity? So what are the restrictions in place? So to perform the remote audit, you need to understand the FAR. You need to do the FAR analysis. And then only you can perform the remote audit. So how far it is, that will decide the remote audit. Clear? Any doubt? Any doubt till now? Okay. If no doubts, can we take some questions quickly, like small questions, MCQ, but it will really help us to understand basically the topic easily. Okay, let's just take some small questions to understand and quickly revise the topic. Okay. Now, first one, auditing digitally is defined as a using advancement in the technology to conduct a
effective and efficient audit.
Very good. Effective and efficient audit. Which of the following is listed as one of the 5 main type of IT dependencies? Which is related to IT? Quickly, which is related to IT?
Interfaces.
Very good. Interfaces, yes. So interfaces is one of the IT dependencies. Technologies. Remember how the systems get connected. Interfaces. Yeah. Third, a type of malware that encrypts a victim's data and demands payment for the decryption key.
Ransomware.
Yes, very good. Ransomware. A phishing attack that specifically targets senior C-level executives employees is known as
Whaling.
very good. Whaling. 5 components of cybersecurity framework are identify, protect, detect, respond, and
Mitigate.
mitigate. Okay. Very good, Samanathan. Anyone else? Mitigate is not the correct answer.
Cover.
Recover. Yes. So protect, identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. Remember, IPD,
IPD or
RR.
no, yeah.
PDRR. That is identify, protect, detect, respond, and recover. Which tool is described as a data extraction and analysis tool used for fraud detection, such as finding irregularities in the large data set? So I'll give you answer. It's a bit difficult. You guys have not gone through the data, but again, Ultrix, or you can basically say it's ACL. ACL was a old one which was done for fraud detection and finding irregularities in the fraud in the large data sets. Okay. So then, what does RPA stands for?
Robotic process.
Robotic process automation.
Yes, robotic process automation. A digital asset that represents ownership of unique items like art or collectibles secured by a blockchain is
NFT.
NFT. Very good. Using drone technology to photograph and physically examine large quantity of fixed asset and inventory is an example of
Next generation audit.
yes, next gen audit. Basically, it's using of different technologies to perform the next gen audit. It's beyond even going beyond AI and everything. A key shift in the next gen audit is moving from sample population to
Full population analysis.
full population analysis. Yes. So these are the 10 MCQs for quickly revision of the entire chapter that we discussed. Any doubt on any of the part that we have discussed today on chapter number 12? Any doubt? The object.
Sir, could you please explain what is the ACL? That I all tricks I used that as well. I don't know ACL. Please explain.
ACL basically was a language that was done that was used for the data analytics. Okay, so it's kind of a set of rules. It's kind of a language. You write a code in that language to perform the detailed data analytics. So most of tools use that language to perform the data analytics at the backend, you can say.
Sir,
Okay, sir.
this data analytics used for which purpose in audit? This means business combination and all.
So just now, as we saw, like an example, dummy invoice list, I did the data analytics, trend analysis to identify the outliers, to identify in which month the sales is high, sales is low. If I have other data, I will collaborate with it. And then I will check whether is there any issue, is there any risk of fraud like that way.
In this last September exam, this will come, but I don't know for which purpose, which data analytics is used.
See, there are multiple type of data analytics. Remember, there is one standard on the data analytics, analytical procedures.
Yes, sir.
So now what happens is, based on the type of the data, you perform the analytical procedures. For example, if there is a sales data, you might do the trend analysis, month on month comparison, year on year comparison. A lot of different things are there, different type of data are there. You will compare and perform the analytics accordingly. For example, if there is an inventory, you may perform the ratio analysis, how fast the inventory moves, which is a slow moving inventory, average days kind of thing. So there are different type of analytical procedures you may perform in that based on a given data set. Any further doubt? Any doubt?
Types of cyber attacks are there, no? It's how to remember it. Means practically, I don't know about this.
Types of cyber attack. See, when I talk about types of cyber attack, instead of remembering all the cyber attack, what you can do is understand the cyber attacks. Understand the type of cyber attacks, and accordingly then you will be able to answer the question on the cyber attack. Now, what if the question is coming on all the type of cyber attacks? Okay, see, scenario is the cyber attacks are divided into categories. If you want to remember all the cyber attacks, remember these categories: malware, denial of service, phishing, spoofing, and as much as you can remember. But these are the major: malware, denial of service, phishing, spoofing, insider threats, DNS, and IoT. There are multiple. There are again more. Okay, but you can easily remember these things. And then there are, once you remember phishing, then it is easier. Target, big fish, voice related, SMS related. You got all the phishings. When I talk about malware, ransomware, we have discussed. If you logically remember, if you saw that scenario that we discussed, you will be able to remember ransomware is there something. Then Trojan, again, mobile malware, mobile virus. So malware is nothing but virus. So mobile virus and mobile virus. Fileless malware, fileless virus, something like that. Not that difficult basically, but just understand the concept, what these are, and it will be pretty much easy then to remember.
Okay, so thank you.
Any other doubt? Any other questions? Okay. What I want from you guys is, please go through this chapter, read once. This chapter is something you have to read once, and then after this particular lecture, when you will read this chapter, you will be able to connect with the concept that we discussed. The more practically you will understand this chapter, the more detailed way you will be able to write the answers. Trust me. It's all about understanding practically in this chapter. So if you just read without understanding practically, it will be difficult for you to digest, the things which are there. Like if you don't know practically what is blockchain, NFT, it will become difficult for you. That's why it's very important that whatever we discuss in today's session, you remember that, and based on that, you perform the reading. Okay. So please read this chapter, then try to write the questions in your own word. And on the basis of that, if you have any doubt, bring it into the next session. I will help you out. I will definitely provide you all the answers of your queries. You can ask n number of times. If you have doubt now also, please ask. Okay. If no doubts, Then thank you guys. Thank you for participating in today's session. I'll see you in the next. Thank you. Good night. Thank you. Yes.